Time to start this bad boy. Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So yes, we have hold of the TT-01 Type E chassis, and obviously it's a beautiful Mercedes CLK GTR, one of Tamiya's greatest ever replica body shells in my opinion. So this is obviously the re-release of the original car, which came on the TT-03 chassis. This came out at the same time. This is a 2020 model. This came out at the same time as the gorgeous Porsche 911 GT1 street car, which we did the Rothmans paint scheme on. But we did do that on the TT-03 FS. No, TT-03 RS. The R stands for rear, the motors at the rear, and S is for short wheelbase. Got to get that correct. But as I say, this is on the bog standard TT-01, which a lot of people have sort of kicked off about. For me, I'm not overly bothered. These cars, for me, are more for show than for actually running them around. However, I do like the TT-01 chassis. I don't have any problems with it. It runs great. So in this video, we're going to get it built, and we may go on to, fingers crossed, get the body shell done. Now, we're not going box art on this kit. I'm not going to give you any, well, I'm not going to tell you what the body's going to be because I don't want to spoil it, and I'm also waiting for some decals to arrive, and I don't know if it's going to work 100% until I get the decals and measure it and see how it's going to fit on the car. But I'll give you a clue if you want to have a guess. I'm following on from the Porsche 911 GT1 Rothmans car I'm doing. So I'm doing an old school livery. Now, it's not the Rothmans one, but it's kind of similar. Anyway, I've got the paints for it and everything, and this shell is absolutely superb. But again, that may be for a future video. We'll have to see when I get to the end of this build and we've got the shell cut out. If the decals have arrived, we'll just carry on and get it done. But as I say, we'll figure that out as we go. So this, straight away, is a shelf queen only. I was actually contemplating doing a dry build, which I've never actually done before. Dry build just means don't put any grease on. CVA dampers, don't put any oil in, because it is just going to sit on the shelf. So I was thinking about doing that because I thought, well, you could save on, it'll give you some spare damper oil and some spare Tamiya grease to use, because I always run out of that stuff. But what I am going to do, but it is only going to sit on the shelf, I won't use the Tamiya products, but I'll use some grease I have. I might even use Vaseline, just so it's nice and smooth. But again, it's only going to sit on the shelf. So I think that's about it. So and no bearing set in this one. Just going to use completely standard kit. Probably won't even fit the motor. No steering servo. Nothing exciting like that. But you know, in the future, I said I was never going to run the Porsche 911 GT2 car, and I actually ran that. So you know, this may run at some point. Who knows? Anyway, less babble. Let's get started. Right, that's the shell, and that's the reason I bought this bad boy. As I said earlier, it's one of the best replica shells that Tamiya have done. The real life car is absolutely stunning. I actually used to race this shell in 110 touring cars, like around 99, 2000, 2001. It was an absolutely awesome shell. And I'm really pleased to say the wheel arches are pre-cut. That makes a hell of a difference for me. I really do. So it's going to be very easy to cut out. I know with it not being painted, you can't really appreciate the shape of it, but it's like the 911 GT1 car. It's just, its curves are absolutely stunning. I really can't wait. The car also comes with quite a bit of plastic for the wing. So we have a lower wing that goes on the back, as the 911 GT1 does. And then we have the two wing mounts and the big main wing which sits on the top. Mirrors are actually awesome. The mirrors actually go on the window struts this high up. It's a really cool feature. Now the wheels it comes with are the kind of bog standard ones you would expect in silver. Now, the wheels are going to play a massive part in this because this is going to be, as I say, it's non-box art. The wheels are going to be mega important. So I've got a choice of these. I also have a black set of these, it's exactly the same style, which I may use. But I'm also contemplating, once it's done, to take the two-piece chrome wheels off my 911 GT2 car, because my gut feeling right now is if I can make this look how I want it to look, then it'll need those two-piece chrome wheels in possibly white. I might even paint them black. But again, that's all the fun when we actually start the shell. So that's the cool bits. Now let's get on with the boring bit, the chassis build. Right, that's all the bits out, and as you can see, there's absolutely nothing to it. Manual, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts trees, and the bathtub chassis, foam bumper, servo saver, there's your metal cups and dog bones, plastic prop shaft. It does come with a torque tune motor and a TBL-EO2 electronic speed controller. Again, we're using bushes, and then we just got the 3 A, B and C bags, the 2 diff section, and that is it. There's absolutely nothing to it. It's very straightforward. So yeah, let's get the screws opened up, get them in tubs, and we'll start. So stage 1 is to put prop shaft cup in with a bush and a spare servo locating pin onto the spur. So I've greased that up, and that just sits there. Stage 2, plastic prop shaft in, second cups in, again greased, and then just drop 2 of the battery supports, or where the battery clips go onto, with 2 countersunk screws. So stage 3 is actually fitting the motor, which we're not going to do. Should I fit the... No, I'm not going to fit the motor, it's pointless. So we'll bypass that. We will have to dig the motor mount bracket out. Yeah, and then it's just a case of putting the motor mount bracket in and then the cover on, so we'll get that done. Stage 4 complete, which, as I say, plastic motor mount's gone in and the plastic cover over it. So stage 5 is to build the rear diff, and that's stage 6 complete. So that's, as I said, the rear diff built, rear diff fitted, greased. There's a bush that goes on the inside onto the inner cup, and then that just fits in with 2 of the larger brass bushes. So next stage now is to dig out the rear arms and rear shock tower and the rear casing for this unit. And that's stage 7 complete. So as you can see, the rear gearbox housing has gone on with the rear shock tower, just 3 screws at the back, holds all that on. Arms, upper and lower arms on the rear are now on, if I can show you that, and greased up. Now, very important, because the TT-01's quite adaptable, and if you reverse those arms, that makes it a short wheelbase car. So I've taken a flyer and I've put them on as a long wheelbase car, which I'm pretty sure it is. Famous last words if it isn't. So that's that bit done. So the next bit now, well, no idea. Let's move on to stage 8. Stage 8 complete, which is the rear outcups. So the metal shaft goes in, one plastic bush on the inside, greased up. Stage 9 complete, that's just a rear guard on now. 2 countersunk screws in there and 3 into there, which kind of now bolts that rear end completely down. And that's stage 10 complete, so we've got the rear end built up now, both arms are on. Feel the diff now, get some grease around that, and then the overall drive. I've got grease on my fingers, but it's turning. On stage 10 you are supposed to put the rear body mounts on, but again there's 2 options depending on the shell, so I'll fit the body post last. Right, that stages 11 and 12 complete. So we've done the front arms and we've snapped the little balls into them, as you can see, greased up. Also built the front diff now. Stage 14 finished, rear diff in, housing on, shock tower on, 3 screws, and the arms in place. That's steps 15 and 16 done, 15 being the rear protector, whatever it's called, which bolts the whole back end down firmly now. 2 screws countersunk in, 3 screws from that side. It's identical. If you've never built a TT-01 before, what have you been doing with your life? That's my question. It's one of the easiest chassis you're going to build, but it's the front and back's almost a mirror. All the parts, you get like 2 part trees of each. So anyway, as I say, that was stage 15. Stage 16 was to do the front uprights, greased it, 1 bush inside, and it looks like step 17 is just to bang it all together now. Stage 17 finished, so front end all built up, so all the arms are on, steering knuckles are on. And what's next? So I did say at the very beginning of the video, when I said I was talking about doing a dry build, that I won't put any oil in the shocks. Well, I've decided I'm definitely not going to do that because it comes with friction shocks, which I'm quite surprised at. I thought it might have been oil dampers. So yeah, friction shocks are not the best, and that could be an issue because with this being a shelf queen, it has to have the absolute perfect stance, and it's going to have to be really low. So yeah, I mean, I'll build those friction shocks up now and we'll fit them, but that might be something we have to change in the future. But anyway, I'm preempting that. Let's get them built up. Right, these shocks are awesome. So that goes in there. That one goes, holds the top on. Little ring goes over, spring goes on, and then you just push in like that, and that's it. Oh my word, they're terrible. So we've made the 4 up. What's it say next stage? So that's stage 18 complete. So 19 is to put the shocks on. Right, that's steps 18 through to 25. So we've got the shocks on all around. Foam bumper's gone on the front. And the steering linkage has been built up. I've tightened those up a little bit too tight on purpose because I'm not putting a servo in there, so it's not the freest, but that's perfect for what this car's going to be. I'm also not going to put the other servo arm on, it doesn't need to be there. So as I say, that's up to step 25. So also on step 25 is to fit the top deck, which will hold all this down now and brace it. Just have another quick look. So yeah, that actually is pretty much it. Once the top deck's on, then we can put this mess away. We'll get the wheel adapters done and trimmed, and we'll get the wheels and tyres, and we might as well sort of mount it up, and then we can have a look, 1, to make sure we've got the wheelbase correct, and then 2, we can figure out which body posts we need to fit. There's a motor guard to put on as well, but I think it's absolutely pointless putting that on, to be fair. Right, let's get that top deck on. Right, so wheels and tyres on, everything's fitted, everything feels smooth as it should be, nice and free, as free as you would expect. There is a hell of a difference on offsets. Not too sure if you're going to be able to see it, but the rears are it's a lot wider back end. Now, I am jumping the gun slightly, but with the TT-01 kit on the parts tray, you get 2 much deeper 12mm wheel hexes. So obviously these wheels are stepped out, whereas the ones I'm probably wanting to use are not. But if they're way too far in, I might get away with just putting that on the rear, but again, I'm just preempting. So what I've just done is I've just gone back into the box and dug the actual body set instructions out to see what posts I need to use. It doesn't really go into it that much, but what it's showing there is straight ones. So what have we got in actual fact? So on one parts tree, yeah, so it's this bit here, you see, sorry, this bit here that changes. And we've got a small front. So looking at that, that's the fronts. Anyway, it's trial and error. I'll do that off camera to make sure I get those right. Right, so that's the correct body posts on, which now lets me do this. Honestly, it does. There you go. So yes, long wheelbase chassis, so we guessed that correctly, which was a spot of luck really. And again, the wheels is a little bit of an issue until I kind of see it. I mean, just pull that apart. So now I'm gonna have to trim this body so it sits lower. In fact, that's actually the next job now, is to trim it all the way around. At least I don't have to do the wheel arches, which I am so happy about. I have got a slight worry about that front end, where that's as low as it goes. So I'm pushing down there. If I just get my thumb on the wheel, oh, we might be okay. We might be okay. So obviously with the weight of the car, it's got about 3 mil there. It's really important that this is going to sit low, but that actually doesn't look bad. Right, let's trim that body shell next. Right, so that's the shell roughly cut out. I've not sanded it or anything. Been just messing around, so there's obviously no body post on the front. It's sat as low as it'll go, and it ain't low enough. So definitely going to have issues. What I've had to do with the back to match the front, I've had to lift the body post up an extra hole. So in theory, that's, I guess you'd call that almost kit form, the stance it would have. Let me see if I can lower the camera and you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. So that's probably how Tamiya intended it to sit, with that sort of clearance on it. So as I say, I have lifted that back up to match this front, but when it's finished, I need that arch to just be at the top of the tyres, round about there. Not much difference, we're talking probably 1.5, 2 mil, but I've got to figure out how to do that, and I'm not really sure. There's no adjustments on the shocks or anything. But yeah, that definitely needs to sort of sit there, and then we just got to drop the rear body post down one, and the rears will be fine. But again, I'll do this once it's painted. So what I'm just going to do now, quickly, I'm going to get all the wing plastics out and get it fitted, just to see how all that's going to fit. Right, so that's the shell with all its plastics on. Right, so there's a bit of work in that rear wing, I didn't realise. So you've obviously got the lower wing here. Now that in the middle goes on with 2 plastic bushes that just push on, and then your O-ring and a body clip. But the lower wing has also got these side unit pods that you've got to put on. And then, now I've not screwed those up tight, so on that one, well, it's in position now, but there's a bit of trimming on that plastic to make that sit flat properly. But it looks well. And then the only other thing is the mirrors that I've put on. Now, I don't know if I've used the correct O-ring or rubber spacer, as they call them. Now, the issue I have is because I think I'm going with a Tamiya cockpit in here, so that O-ring is splaying out a lot, so it'll probably actually just get glued on. Both mirrors will be probably glued on, I would imagine. But again, it's all for a later date. Let's just stick that on the car. And that's basically that for now, because the rest of it's painting. And then all the messing about at the end to get it correct. But that looks pretty good, I have to say. That doesn't look bad at all. I haven't put the Mercedes front badge on yet. But yeah, I think you get the gist of it. Let's see if I can get it a bit lower. I think that's a better angle of it. You get to appreciate the body shell a little bit more from that angle. Yeah, it's a real good looking car, this, it really is. It's, as I say, it is one of my favourites. This thing is going to look absolutely, I mean, if you do it box art in just PS12 silver and the standard Merc decals and that, it's stunning. So I'm really hoping my design's going to work, but yeah, we won't know that till the end. I'm definitely going to have to pack the wheels out. They're not filling the arches well enough, but again, we're going to be mixing and matching wheels. But again, because it's a shelf queen, I may put some washers on the inside of the wheels to really fill those arches. It's a bugbear of mine. I apologise up front, but I see people posting pictures of the cars they've done and they just buy any old wheels and they stick them on just because they're alloy or they just look fancy. But when you look at it to the arches, you know, it's either hanging a mil or two outside the arch, which is just useless. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But yeah, I think this thing is going to look. It's got sexy back end as well. Look at that back end. That looks pretty nice, I have to say. So that was a good couple of hours work this morning, and I really enjoyed it. It's great. I always like building Tamiya kits anyway, and even basic stuff like this TT-01. It's always enjoyable to put together. Unfortunately, the decals are not here as of yet, so this is as far as I can go with it at the moment, which I'm not too bothered about, to be honest. I like to I don't like to do a build and then go straight on to painting, because there's going to be a fair bit of masking on this, and I think I certainly need to be in a different sort of frame of mind to do it. It's not so much building where you're not really thinking about it, you're following instructions, whereas this is going to take some serious thought to get the lines correct. But anyway, yeah, so I'm really happy with that. So yeah, I'll get cracking with part 2 as soon as the decals arrive. I'll give you a little clue of the paint colours I'm using, which is going to be a little bit deceptive actually, because it is a bit of a trick what I'm going to say. Anyway, on the outside it's going to be 2 colours. It's going to be red and white. That's just so easy now, you know it's going to be, and it's going to be back to a silver. It's going to be a cool paint job actually. I'm going to do the red bits first, then I'm going to do the white, and then I'm going to blast it all over in white to back it, and then when that's dry I'm going to blast it over in PS12, and I've been told that really makes these colours pop, so we will see. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that. So thanks very much for watching, it's really appreciated. If you are new to this channel, if you could please consider liking and subscribing to support us. If you do that, smash that notification bell for our weekly videos. And as always guys, happy arseing.